Now, as we see, it's been over 72 hours. A case was filed against this powerful Lingayat Mutt seer, Shivmurthy. Far from arrest, he has not been summoned. There's been no medical test taken of him, nor a major report that's been done from the crime scene. In fact, the latest information that we got, and we broke that to you, is that the police has just arrived 3 days later at the crime spot with those two minor girls to draw out a major report. The seer was said to be incommunicado ever since an FIR was filed against him, at least for 2 days, before which the police happened to establish communication with him today. The FIR was filed on the 26th, Friday. The police themselves then escorted the accused seer, Shivmurthy, back to his mutt. And those are the visuals that you see on the right-hand side. In fact, the police, Karnataka police, instead of detaining or arresting this powerful religious pontiff, have given him complete protection. We're looking at those visuals on the right-hand side where the police is escorting the seer all the way back to his mutt in Chitradurga. They dropped him off safely. And soon after he was dropped off, those are the visuals that you see on your left-hand sides of the screens where Shivmurthy, the Lingayat Mutt seer, is addressing a large gathering, saying that he will come out clean of all the allegations and this is conspiracy. Grave allegations of rape and sexual assault have been made against him by two minor girls. Stringent sections under the POCSO Act have been slapped against him. If it was a common man, a layperson, wouldn't they have been arrested by now? It would have taken less than 24 hours to crack down on a man if he had no political backing. That's the norm we've seen of any police across the country. But it seems like the kind of deafening silence displayed by politicians who are desperately trying to woo the Lingayat community in Karnataka ahead of elections seem to be really acting as a protective shield over the accused in this case. Let me cut across to prominent Bengalurian, an actor and activist himself, Chetan Kumar, joining us for a little more on that. Chetan, across political lines, there's been no reaction on the grave allegations of sexual assault against this very famous, popular Lingayat Mutt seer. Starting with Rahul Gandhi, Amit Shah, RSS's Mohan Bhagwat, they've all interacted with him, met him, gone all the way to Chitradurga Mutt only to meet him because of the kind of political clout he holds. Do you believe this is influencing investigation? And why this deafening silence among the political circles?
What has happened in the past 3 days, the accusations are very serious accusations that have been placed on this Lingayat seer. And if you understand Karnataka politics, the Lingayat community wields a lot of influence in terms of educational institutions, in terms of political influence, economic influence, and actually the sitting CM is of Lingayat, and the longest standing community that has held the CM position is the Lingayat community. They're 12 to 14%. And this is one of the top 3 biggest mutts in Karnataka for the Lingayat community. From 17th century, this mutt has existed, and central Karnataka is dominated by the Lingayat community. Now, you mentioned about how this Lingayat seer has been given police protection. We ask that the 2 brave girls who have taken this stance and the NGO who has supported them, they be given ample protection because they are under risk, they're under threat. We want a fair and impartial investigation. And when you talk about influence, it's not just the influence after the FIR. You have to understand the influence it took to make this FIR possible. I mean, for over a month, these girls have, what the Mutt itself says, they have disappeared, and they have tried in Chitradurga to file an FIR. The police did not take it. The 2 girls came all the way to Bengaluru, which is hundreds of kilometers away, and the Bengaluru main city realized that this was an explosive issue, did not file an FIR here. They had to go through the help of the NGO to file an FIR in Mysuru, which has now been transferred to Chitradurga.
You know, Chetan, you know the dynamics, political dynamics in Karnataka. What's the kind of influence that the Lingayat community wields in the political circles? Also, when it comes to religious pontiff, there's this fear among any politician across party circles to follow up on these allegations. Ideally, if it wasn't a religious person or a religious pontiff, swift action would have been taken against the accused. But because this is a religious man, he in fact blesses these politicians when they go all the way to his mutt in Chitradurga. You know, this seems almost untouchable for the politicians to even comment on.
If you look at 2008 to 2013, B.S. Yediyurappa actually gave lots of money, taxpayer money, to mutts all across the state and to other states as well. BSY and other politicians have brought the mutts into heavily political influence in Karnataka, and these mutts are supposed to be beyond worldly kind of existential realities. And these mutts actually 1 year ago, BSY, when he left the CM position or was taken out, a lot of mutts came out in support of Mr. Yediyurappa. And what Mr. Yediyurappa has said yesterday is that he has made a judgment call calling this accusation falsely implicating this. He said it's a false implication. So he's making a judgment call and in effect influencing the powers that be. What we have to understand here is that if this mutt had a consensual relationship with an adult, then you're talking about issues of ethics, issues of religious righteousness, issues of honesty and transparency. But when these are children, and these are 15, 16-year-old children, that this has happened for 3 years, you're talking about 12 or 13 children, then it goes well beyond it into criminality. So the criminality is something that we must take in. We want a fair and impartial judgment. We want a police investigation. We trust that the police will be impartial and will not budge to the influence that this man and his entire mutt and the entire Lingayat community wields in Karnataka. And politically, we expect that the politics also stands beyond influencing it for political gain and stands to give justice to whoever is wronged in the situation.
Right.